Hi guys. So I decided after I made the last video that I would do a read aloud every day too. So we'll do the interactive read aloud later. I'm going to do that one after I have the meeting that I talked about earlier. And so this video is going to be our class read aloud. So you can just envision that I'm reading aloud in class, and then afterwards you're going to spend 30 minutes reading your choice book. So the book we're going to read is All the Answers by Kate Messner. And it's about a character named Ava, and she finds a magic pencil. So the pencil didn't look magic. It looked the opposite of magic. It was the kind of pencil a parent might bring home from school, from some boring financial planning convention, the kind nobody wants. So it gets tossed in the kitchen junk drawer and hangs out with random nails and bits of strings and rubber bands. That's where the pencil was until the morning of Ava Anderson's math test. She was totally out of regular yellow number 2 pencils and had to go digging in the junk drawer looking for one. The pencil was bright blue with yellow lettering that spelled out EverQuest, Innovation Research Solutions. Ava didn't know what that meant, and she didn't care. All she cared about was having a pencil for math, because if you showed up for Mr. Farkley's class unprepared, he gave you a look that could wilt a giant 300-year-old oak tree right down to the ground. And Ava was nothing like an oak tree. She was only 12. She had skinny arms and spindly legs. Big test today? Ava's dad hurried into the kitchen as she was dropping the pencil into her backpack. He opened the oven door, and black blueberry scented smoke billowed out. Math, Ava said, waving at the smoke. Where are Gram and Mom? Gram's not up yet. She wasn't feeling well last night. And Mom had an early meeting with some bigwig clients who wants to invest in oil. Dad pulled an overflowing cake pan from the oven. But don't worry, I've got breakfast covered. He juggled the hot pan to the counter and flopped it onto a plate. A charred something flopped out. Ta-da! It's the world-famous Anderson's General Store giant blueberry muffin. He looked down at the burned mega muffin. It might be a tad overdone. Ava poked through the charred crust with a spoon. It came out covered in batter. The middle's not burned. Dad sighed and took out the cereal as Marcus and Emma came downstairs. Emma wore an orange dress with blue and white striped tights and a name tag that read, "Hello, my name is Cleopatra." There's only one E in Cleopatra, Em, Ava told her. I spell it with 2, Emma said, and poured herself a bowl of cornflakes. Emma had worn a different magic-marked name tag to school ever since she learned she was one of 5 Emmas in her second-grade class, 3 of whom had last names starting with A. Instead of being Emma A2, she decided to use a different name every day. Her teacher said that was fine, as long as she wrote her full name on papers. What's on fire? Marcus asked, heaving his backpack onto the table. A coil of electric wire rolled out and knocked over the cereal. Dad's world-famous muffin. Ava brushed and spilled cornflakes into her hand. I can't get them to bake evenly, Dad shook his head. I thought for sure this was the one. You think they're all the one, Marcus said. Like your world-famous sweet pickle pie. Ugh. And your world-famous shrimp and jello salad. Yuck. I thought it would look cool. Like the shrimp were swimming. Dad's smile dropped. You'll come up with something, Dad, Ava said. Ever since it was on the news the Shop Mart would be opening a superstore in town, Dad had been obsessed with keeping the family general store alive. He figured if Anderson's could be world famous for something, People would come from all over and bring their wallets, and everything would be fine. The trouble was, pretty much all the reasonable world-famous claims were taken by other stores in other towns. The dime store in Indiana had world-famous jumbo jelly beans. The Rainy Creek country store in Idaho had world-famous square ice cream cones. And Len Libby's Candies in Maine had claimed the world's only life-size chocolate mousse and the world's largest chocolate animal sculpture in one fell swoop. I wished we'd thought of that chocolate mousse first, Dad said, scraping the last of the muffin mush into the garbage. There were moose in the mountains near Ava's town, so it would have been perfect. But you couldn't take somebody else's idea and make it a slightly bigger moose. We could have a chocolate owl, Ava suggested. Owl Moon had been her favorite bedtime story since she was little. Mom had even taken her out to search for owls one night, just like the kid in the book. Ava never heard or saw one, but she still loved owls and tried to draw them. Mostly they came out looking like confused penguins. Owls aren't big enough to be impressive, Dad said. What about a chocolate bear or porcupine? Check online and see if that's taken. I'll look after school. Ava pulled on her sweatshirt, picked up her backpack and saxophone, and started for the porch to wait for Sophie. We could have a Jell-O mousse, Dad called after her. Bet nobody's done that. The screen door slammed, and it was like a switch flipped in Ava's brain, sending jitters all through her body and twisting her stomach. Time to worry about the math test. It wasn't because she hadn't studied. Ava knew the formulas for finding area of circles and triangles. She understood the lessons and had even helped Sophia with her homework. But Ava knew she'd forget everything once first period started, like she always did when a teacher plunked an exam in front of her. She'd stare at the questions, her sweaty hand wrapped around her pencil. Her throat would get all dry. Then she'd have to cough, and Mr. Farkley was one of those teachers who scowled any time somebody coughed, like it was on purpose, just to bug him. Teacher frowns felt like darts to Ava. She always ended up feeling strapped to her too small chair when she couldn't move and was doomed to sit quietly, blinking fast and chewing on her thumb, being darted to death while test answers slipped out of her head. Hey, Sophie called, jogging up the driveway with her gymnastic bag bumping against her side. How was your weekend? Pretty good. Ava swallowed hard, but the worries were already stuck in her throat. Are those new jeans? Yep. I went shopping with Dad and Jenna at the outlets. She spun around. Mom hates skinny jeans, but she can't really do anything because Dad got them for me. Sophia skipped ahead on the sidewalk through the red and yellow leaves. Let's hurry so we have time to hang out with everybody. You can go ahead, Ava said, pulling a few index cards from her pocket. I want to look over our math formulas. Didn't you study? I always study, Ava said. But as soon as I get near the math room, my heart gets thumping and my face gets hot and I can't breathe. And it's like I'm being smothered to death. Smothered in numbers, Sophia raised her eyebrow. I didn't know that could be fatal. It totally can, Ava said. Death by linear equations. Sophia laughed. You'll be fine. Just remember, pi r squared. You can picture a square-shaped rhubarb pie with a big R on it. Come on. She grabbed Ava's hand and gave it a tug. Ava could never say no to Sophia. Sophia was the only reason Ava survived preschool. She had taken Ava's hand and pulled her into the circle around the dress-up box to play. Ava never would have joined the group on her own. Back then, she'd been afraid of everything and everyone, not just math test. Okay, it wasn't just math test. She was also afraid of ghosts and thunderstorms and getting in trouble in airplanes and her grandma dying and her parents getting divorced like Sophie's. Also, flesh-eating bacteria. Ever since she'd been seen that one episode of Boston Medical. Let's run, Sophie said, taking off. At least math was early in the day, so she could get it over with, Eva thought, and she raced down the sidewalk too. So the next chapter is titled The Voice in Eva's Ear. Bye, guys.